Good evening, everybody. Lech Lecha. Okay, so I have for Lech Lecha three items which somehow dovetail together. And I'm starting with something that I did many years ago, which is a classic, and I want to do it again. Um, I don't know how many people will remember this, but this is the introduction to Sefer Bereshit of the Emek Davar of the Netziv. We many times have learned the Netziv, Rab Naftali Tzvi Yehuda Berlin, the Volozhiner Rosh Hashiva, and his classic Ha'emek Davar on Chumash, which was he gave a SHIUR on the PARSHA once a week in the yeshiva. That's what this sefer is. I think I've mentioned to you in the past that a great-great-grandson published a copy of the Emek Davar, which I have, in which he incorporated notes from the Netziv. The Netziv published the Emek Davar when he was still alive. So he had additions, and he made additions. And this it's not new anymore, it's about 10 years old, I think. This new Emek Davar has all of the additions of the Netziv. The only problem is, and I told him, I was very upset with him, he didn't make a notation. Usually when you do this, when you add things, you have an asterisk or something, that this is the later and a later addition, an addendum. But he didn't do that. He just incorporated everything into the, so unless you're really a complete Bucky in the Netziv, you really won't recognize what's new, what's not new. In any case, that's just an aside. Let's do his introduction. And it's a classic, a classic. And it's a lesson that we all need, particularly today. Zeh HaSefer Hanikra Sefer Bereshit. The first sefer of the Chumash is called Bereshit. Nikra Befi HaNeviim, but it's called by the prophets Sefer HaYashar. It's called the Book of Yashar, the Book of the Upright, the Book of the Straight people. Kedihisa b'Mesechta Avodah Zarah, he quotes a Gemara in Avodas Kochavim, Al Shnei Mikros b'Sefer Yoshua, based on two psukim in the Yoshua. The Gemara brings this from the Navi Yoshua. Halohi Kesuva al Sefer HaYashar. Yeshua says it's written in Bereshit, it's written on Sefer HaYashar, in the Book of the Upright, the Book of the Straight. B'Sefer Shmuel Beis, Vayomer l'lamed b'nei Yehuda keshet hinei ksuva al Sefer HaYashar, to teach b'nei Yehuda. It's written in the Book of Yashar. Umeforish Rabbi Yochanan, Zeh Sefer Avraham, Yitzchak v'Yakov. This is the book of Avraham, Yitzchak v'Yakov. Shenikru Yesharim, who were called Yesharim. They were called straight people. Shenemar, where's he quoting this from, of all places? From Bilam Harasha. When Bilam, in one of Bilam's prophecies, he says, Tamut nafshi mot Yesharim. Let me die, God, the death of the Yesharim, of Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. If Bilam understood, Bilam recognized that their greatness was they were straight. V'yesh lavin hatam. We have to understand the reason. Lama kara Bilam et avotenu b'shem Yesharim b'yichud. Why did Bilam refer to the avot as Yesharim? V'lo tzadikim, and not tzadikim, pious people. V'o chasidim, right? Chasidim in the classic sense, people who go lifnim mishurat adin, beyond the letter of the law, not chasidim in the contemporary social dimension. Ukadoma, why not tzadikim? Why not chasidim? They were chasidim, they were tzadikim. Why call them Yesharim? Why is that their label? V'gam also, lama mechuna et sefer b'yichud b'kinu Yesharim. To the extent that the sefer is called by the Nevi'im, by the prophets, Sefer Yesharim, the book of the upright, the book of the straight people, the Avos. Ubilam hitpalel al atzmo, Bilam daven for himself, sheyehei achrito kemo bale ze hakinui. He prayed that his end should be like the end of these Avot. Va'inyan, the idea is to nit ba'er b'shirat ha'azinu, and go all the way to the end of the Chumash. Ala pasuk hatzur tamim pa'alo. God, the rock, His tummy palo. He's pure. He's straight and perfect. Tzaddik v'yasharhu. The Rebbeinu Shalom Kaviyachol is tzaddik v'yashar. He's pious and he's straight. The shevach yashar unemar lahatzdik din hakodesh baruch hu. The word yashar is used to support the din of HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'churban bayis sheni. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu, there's a prophecy there about the destruction of the bayis sheni, right? This is to justify the Rebbeinu Shalom's destroying bayis sheni, the second temple. Shahayador ikesh u'pitaltel. The generation of the second temple was a crooked and a negative generation. Upirashnu, but the positive you should know, Shahayut Tzadikim v'Chasidim v'Amlei Torah. The Jews in the time of the second temple of Bayis Sheni were Tzadikim. They were Chasidim, they were pious, righteous people. V'Amlei Torah. They were steeped in Torah and learning Torah. However, lo hayu yesharim. They were not straight. Bahalichas olamam, in the way they conducted their lives. Al kain, therefore, mipnei sinas chinam. What was the major destruction of the Beis Hamikdash? Was sinas chinam, causeless hatred, right? Being dismissive of people for no real reason. Shebelibam, in their heart, they had sinas chinam zeh et zeh to each other. Fashtu, listen to this. Fashtu, they were suspicious, they were suspect. As mi shero shenoheg shelo kedatam, that their approach to Torah was different than my approach to Torah. B'yiras Hashem, in fear of Hashem. Shutzaduki v'apikoris, you don't wear my color yarmulke? You are an apikoris. You're a heretic. You don't do things my way? You're a heretic. Harbe drachim lamakam. So they were tzaddikim, they were chasidim, they were amlei Torah, but they were dismissive of anyone who disagreed with the way, with their particular derech haolam. Ubo al yedei zeh lidei shvichus damim. It went to the extent of murder. Kederech haflaga, tremendous machlokes. L'kol haraot sheba'olam. Everything bad happened because of this, because they were not straight people. Ad shecharav habayit, Beis Hamikdash was destroyed. Right? I mean, I again, I don't want to get into politics, but we see what's been going on here for the last few years. The struggle between they spoke in terms of the justice system, reforming the justice system, was the religious against the non-religious, and there were problems on both sides of the fence. Both sides made terrible mistakes in how they handled with each other. There was really no communication. Really, this is the cause of, in many sense, historically, this is, without being, not being prophetic here, but you see the timeline here, we're into this situation, and they knew about it. Hamas knew about it. They knew this was the time to strike, right? This was the final judgment of the destruction of the temple based on this. And this pasuk, by the way, is used in the Tziduk Hadin prayer when someone passes away, and we speak to the Ribbono Shel Olam. We use this pasuk, Kodesh Baruch Hu Yasharu. God is straight. Ve'eno sovel tzadikim ke'elu. He has no patience for such quote unquote tzadikim, righteous people. Ke'elu, right? Right? In other words, I often tell the story of the Kotzker's idea. You know, we're coming to the story, we'll get to the story of Stom soon, and in our Parshiot, and Avram argued for Stom, which also shows how great he was. He's going to mention this. But he said, if there are 50 tzaddikim in the city, could you save the city for 50 tzaddikim? And HaKadosh Baruch said, okay, there are 50 tzaddikim, no problem. So the Kotzker says, you know why? Because he said in Yiddish, it's much better in Yiddish, but he said 50 tzaddikim can also destroy a city. 50 quote-unquote tzaddikim, fruma, religious people who have no patience for anyone else's approach, they can also destroy a city. That's exactly the point that the Netziv is making here. These so-called tzaddikim were not straight. Ela ba'ofen sheholchim b'derech hayashar. They didn't go in the straight path. V'gam b'halichos olam, in their dealing with people. V'lo b'akmamiyut. Af al gav shehu l'shem shamayim. You don't go, even if it's l'shem shamayim. I mean it l'shem shamayim. I mean it, for the sake of Torah, you have to go my way. You have to do it the way I say you have to do it, not the way you say you have to do it. My approach to Torah, not your approach to religion. My approach to mitzvahs, not your approach to mitzvahs. I mean it l'shem shamayim, right? I'm a warrior, right, for God. The zegorim churban habriyut. This destroys people. V'harisut yishuv haaretz, and it destroys, it uproots the calmness, the tranquility of society, social norms. V'zeh shevach avot, and this was the praise of Avraham Yitzchak Yaakov, so Rivka Rachel v'Leah. Shemilvad shayu tzadikim v'chasidim. They were emes at tzadikim, emes at true chasidim. V'ohavei Hashem, and lovers of Hashem. V'ofen hayoter, the highest level, efshar, hayoter efshar, that was possible. Od hayu yesharim, but they were straight. Hainu shehitnagu im umata olam. They dealt with the nations of the world. Afilu of the elilim, even idol worshippers. Mechuarim, terrible people, with straightness. Mikol makom hayu imam ba'ava, with love. They were all creations of God. V'chashu l'tovatam, and they were concerned for their well-being. Basher hi kiyum abriya, because we don't want to destroy society, we don't want to destroy the world. Kimo shanu roim, he gives an example. Kama hishtateach Avram Avinu li'itpalel al stom. How much Avram prayed for stom. He brings this. There are 50 tzaddikim, please, 45, whatever. He davened that stom, give them a chance, right? Stom was a very evil, degenerate society. Afal gav shahaya sanaotam, bet malkam, tachlit sina avur rishatam. Even though they hated Stom, and they hated Melech Stom because of their riches, because of their evilness. They hated their evilness, not the people, the evilness of who they were. Kimivur b'maimor lemelech Stom is what he actually told the king of Stom. Mikol makom. That being said, Chafetz b'kiyumam, didn't want to see them die. He tried to save Stom. Ubirabba, quotes a medrash now in Vayera. Esau said that Shamar Kodesh Baruch Hu Avram. Kodesh Baruch Hu said to God, to Avram Avinu, Ahabat tzedek v'tisna rasha, love righteousness and hate evil. Notwithstanding the fact that the Rebbeinu Shalom told him that, Ahabat lahatzdik et brioti. What do I mean, love tzedek? You should love lahatzdik et brioti, to bring back my creatures, my non-Jewish creatures, my creations in the world, back to righteousness. V'tisna laharishan, and hate the fact that they became evil. V'hainu mamash ka'av hamon goyim. That's why Avram was called Av Hamon Goyim, the father of a multitude of nations. Even if the son doesn't walk in the right path, mikol makom, tocher, Shlomo v'tovo, he still searches out his goodness. Even though he's not walking in the right path, he still tries to bring him back. V'chein hutzak tein v'derech eretz nifla al dvar Avram et Lot. Look what Avram did for Lot, for his nephew, who was not a good person. Kimo shenit bayer in Parshat Lech Lecha. We have this in this week's Parsha, right? How he goes to bat to save Lot from Stom, right? V'chein ra'inu kama Noach haya Yitzchak Avinu li'itpayes mimisanav. How Yitzchak dealt with his haters, passively, quietly. Ubima'ad Divrei Pius, me Avimelech, how he dealt with Avimelech, me Re'av, Nitpayes, Ba'ofen HaYoter, Mimasha Bikshu Mimenu, Kimevur B'Mekomo. We'll see all of this later on in the Torah, in Bereshis. V'Yakov Avinu, and Yaakov, he's going through Avram Yitzchak, Yaakov Avinu. Achar Shehetiv, Para, Lo Al Lavan. What Lavan did to him. Look what Lavan did for 14 years, how he deceived him. He spoke to him softly. Ad she'amru al zeh beBereshis Rabbi, the Medrash comments on this. Kaptanusan shel avos v'lo anafsanusan shel banim. Right? Nitpayesi maher. He tried to appease Lavan. He tried to appease him. V'chein harbe lamadnu mehalichos avos b'derech eretz. So much we see about the avot in their derech eretz, their deportment, how they dealt with people. Masha shayach l'kiyum ha'olam, which would keep the world going. Over the page. Hamyuchad lezeh ha-sefer. Unique to this sefer, to Sefer HaBriah, the sefer of creation. Umishum hachi nikra kamokein Sefer HaYoshar. That's why it's called Sefer HaYoshar. This is why the world was created. This is the goal of the world, that it should be a world of straightness, of honesty, of derech eretz. Al maisa avot zeh prat, in this idea. Ubilam, and therefore Bilam b'shah shahaya ruach hakodesh alav. Right, Bilam had ruach hakodesh, right, when he offered these prophecies. Lo hayayachol lehitpaleh al roa ma'asav. Right, he got it. Bilam got it. He understood how bad he was, how bad things were. He knew it. He got it. I'm not a tzaddik like Abraham and Yitzchak and Yaakov. Even though I'm a prophet of the nations of the world. Lo lisno et Yisrael. He understood. Uverosho b'mekor hatumah. Bilam was the lowest level of tumah. Achein hitpalei al roa hilucho b'derech eretz she'im shroi haya lo lisnoa et Yisrael tachlis sina basher shehema b'nei Avram Yitzchak v'Yaakov v'rosha mimekor hakadusha. How could he hate? How could he go against Avram Yitzchak and Yaakov, the holiest people? Aval mikol makom lo haya roi lefanav levakesh la'aker uma shlema. He couldn't bring himself to destroy the nation. He understood what they were all about. Ve'enu derech yeshara b'kiyum ha'olam. V'al zeh tzak. That's why he screamed out, I get it. I get it. I'm a fraud. Tzak, kamut nafshi mot yesharim. Let me die the death of the righteous, of the straight people, these straight people. And of course, we know in the end, he died by the sword, because that's really what he deserved, right? Hainu mekaimei abriya. These are the people who keep the world alive. You go with the straightness. Ubezeh yivur ha'de'isa b'Sanhedrin. This explains what the Gemara in Sanhedrin says. Im tamut nafshi mot yesharim. Let me die the death of these straight people. Te'eh acharitei kamohu. That my end should be like theirs. V'im lav. If not, hineni holech lami. I will go to Gehenna. That's basically what Rashi says it means. And in the end, he didn't. He didn't die tamut yesharim. He died by the sword. Right? Upirush Rashi mitat atzmi. He died of his own sins. Okay, we'll leave that next paragraph. Now, in number 2. We have a piece from Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky, and this really fleshes out. He doesn't mention the Netziv, but he brings out something from our Parsha, which really develops and exemplifies the idea of Yesharim, of the straightness of the Avot. Listen to this. Vayishma Avram kinishba achiv. He heard that his brother, talking about his nephew Lot, his brother was taken prisoner, and he took his, he saddled up his soldiers, right? And so according to the Rashi says it was really only Eliezer he had to take, but he took 180, whatever, how many soldiers he took. He went to fight with Taub to save his nephew Lot. Hine, listen to this halachic dilemma. Ilu haya Avram shoel she'elav. Avram would ask a shaila. Am I obligated to go into the lion's den, into Taub? Taub were, They would give a person in Stum, the Gemara says they put him on a short bed and his legs were too long, they cut off his legs. That's what Stum was all about. Come, we'll give you Aknos Zorkin. That's what Stum was all about, right? So am I obligated to go and save Lot? If you would ask a shaila, he would be told you're exempt to go. The halach is ein adam mechuyav lehachnis et atzmo. Person is not obligated to put himself in a situation besafek sakana, where it's even a questionable danger. Bichdei lahatzil et chavero. You're walking along the shore and you see somebody drowning. You can't swim. You can't swim, right? So this is already sakonas nefashis. What are you going to do? You can't go in. If you go in, you're going to die, right? You're not mechuyev to do it. You have to try to get a lifeguard, try to do something, throw him something, but you can't go in, right? That's the halacha. Ella, masha asa kein Avram. So why did he do it? Hu mishum shahavot nikru yeshorim. Because the avot, they didn't go just with halacha. They went with an ethic, in a certain sense, be outside of halacha, right? V'hainu shekol hanagatam, everything they did, hayta lo al pi dinei HaTorah, was not, okay, the halacha is like this, I have to do like this. No. Ela al pi haseichel hayashar, I got to save my nephew. What can I do? Ki Elokim asad adam yashar, God created man to be a yashar. Val pi hayashar hayamutal al Avraham lishtadel lahatzilat lo. And for Yashar, Avram had an obligation to save Lot. Why? As I explained, Ki Avram hirgishet atzmo ka'achra'oi. He felt himself responsible. L'shlomo shalot, for the safety of Shalot. Mikivan Haron Aviv, his father Haron, made bekivshan ha'esh mishum sha'amar shehu maimin be'elokei Avraham. He threw himself into the fiery furnace too. Avram was saved. He thought he's going to be saved. So he threw himself into the fiery furnace, l'shem shemayim, right? But he died. Ulechein al pi ha'yoshar. And he translates yosher for us the way that we should really understand it. Menschlichkeit. That's what menschlichkeit is. Menschlichkeit is menschlichkeit. It's not simply the halacha. Sometimes we have to do something that's beyond the halacha. Rasha, an emergency situation. Huchrach Avraham la'arik et chanichav. He had to take out his whole army. U'lirdof achar ha'malachim, and chase all after these kings. U'bemet kol chayei ha'avot. The truth be told, the entire lifetime of the avot, shechayu kodem zman Torah, who lived before the Torah was given, hayu munhagim al pi hayosher, was all based on menschlichkeit. V'zeu bir shamar chazal, and this is the statement that the rabbis say, derech eretz kodmel Torah. Derech eretz, what's derech eretz? Menschlichkeit. Derech eretz comes before Torah, meaning he says, I know, shavot hitnagu al pi derech eretz vayosher od kodem shenitnu Torah. Before the Torah was given, derech eretz kodmel Torah. Right? Somebody once said, a Chassidish Rebbe once said, I don't remember who, you have by Pesach Shabbos HaGadol. You have the Shabbos before Pesach, the Shabbos HaGadol. The Shabbos between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur is Shabbos Shuvah. What's the Shabbos before Shavuos? Shabbos Derech Eretz. It could be Shabbos Derech Eretz. Derech Eretz, Kodmel Torah, right? V'nirish Ezeu Pshuto Shel Mikra. This is simply the understanding of the Psukim in Sof Parshat Mishpatim, at the end of Mishpatim. V'ednena lecha et luchot ha'even. He tells Moshe, I'm going to give you luchot ha'even, a Torah, v'ha-mitzvah, the Torah and the mitzvah. The Bishla mitzvah, what is God talking about? Hainu mitzvot, shenitztavu behed. Aval mazet Torah, I'm going to give you the Torah and the mitzvah. What's Torah? V'nirish ha'kavana hi l'sipurei ha'Torah. It's talking about the stories, the narrative in Sefer Bereshit. Shel ha'avot, shenichtavu, the Torah, over the page, kodem ha'mitzvot, the storyline, the narrative of Parshas Bereshit before the mitzvahs, right? Hainu shahari loshen Torah hu miloshen hora'ah. Torah is hora'ah, teaching, demonstration. Kilomar mora derech, a mora derech. A tour guide, we say in modern Hebrew, but a mora derech is a rav, is a mora derech, a teacher of Torah is a mora derech. He shows the way. Ki sipurim elu morim la'adam eich lachyot. The stories of the avot teach us how to live. Afilu belit tzivu Hashem Yisborach, even without a commandment from the Rebbeinu Shalom, even without a director from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Kimo she'amar David b'kinato shel al Shaul, what David said about Shaul when he said a kina, an eulogy on Shaul. Hello, he ksuva al sefer hayashar, hainu sefer bereshis, kedisa b'gemara. Now he adds something. V'hine Rashi, reish bereshis from Yaakov as Rashi at the beginning of bereshis. We all know this Rashi. Hiksha, madua hitchila Torah bebereshis bara Elokim. Why did God begin the Torah with bereshis bara Elokim? Lahatchil mechodesh hazeh lechem. Why did he start Lahat bara Elokim? Hayalo lahatchil mechodesh hazeh. He should start with hachodesh hazeh lechem. That's the first mitzvah in the Torah, right? Rosh Chodesh, establishing the new moon. By the way, why is Rosh Chodesh considered such an important mitzvah that it's the first mitzvah? Because what is Kiddush HaChodesh? It's the establishing of the calendar, establishing everything, establishing our timeline, right? That's Kol HaTorah Kula. Establishing our timeline is the keys to the kingdom. The Rebbeinu Shalom gave us that mitzvah of establishing the timeline of Kedushat OUisrael, right? But the Torah should start there. Skip to Kodesh. What are you starting with the stories for, right? V'tiris, and Rashi answers, Mishum koach ma'asav, to higid lamo, latet lem nachlat goyim, that we should be able to tell the world. Hu bara, he created the world, God created the world, v'not la asher yashar beinav, and he gave Eretz Yisrael to the one he wanted to give it to, right? God created the world, and he gave Eretz Yisrael to us. That's why, right? Ulechura zeh rak miyashev. That only answers the question. Madua hevia Torah tzipuri ma'aseh bereshis. That only answers the question why the story of ma'aseh bereshis is there. Ma'aseh bereshis is there because God created the world, and He's the one that's going to give us Eretz Yisrael. You can't take it away from us, right? Aval kol haParshat mi Lech Lecha at Parshas Bo. What about from Lech Lecha to Bo? Adayin eino muvan. Madua hutzricha Torah laharis b'chol zeh. Why does the Torah have to give us all that? Just do bereshis and skip to Chodesh hazeh lechem. V'al zeh lechura lo tiris Rashi klum. Rashi doesn't say anything. So says Rabbi Yaakov, "Avol lefi ma shekasafti," according to what I said, Nira, it would appear shebemet al parshiot elu lo kashikal. It's not a question why these parshiot are here at the beginning. The hasib mihasipurim ha'elu, from these stories, anu lomdim matzricha liot anhagat ha'adam al pi ha'yosher v'derech eretz. These parshiot teach us menschlichkeit. Yosher, they're crucial. They must be there at the beginning. We can even demand this of the nations of the world. We have to teach them. They didn't get mitzvahs, granted. That's the Torah they didn't get, but to live like mentioned, to live with ethics and morality from Sefer Bereshis, he only has to want it. Okay. Finally, I have a piece from the Oznayim LaTorah. And the Oznayim LaTorah is a later Rav Rotkin, who was a Rav around the time of the founding of the state here in Eretz Yisrael. He came from Lithuania, from Lita, and he is going to demonstrate for us an example of the opposite of Yosher, Lot. Okay? So listen to how he touches up a pasuk. There's a pasuk at the beginning. Vayelech Avram kasher diber Hashem elav, diber elav Hashem. Avram, he told him Lech Lecha, and he went, right? According to what God told him, right? Ma bo akasav lashmianu. What is the Torah coming to tell us that he went according to what God wanted him to do? Could he go any other way? God told him to go, he's going. Vayelech ito Lot, the pasuk says. Vayelech ito Lot, and Lot went with him. V'alo gam hu haya beveit aviv. Eich lapkach oto Avram imo. Why did he take? He took the whole bayit. Why does it say he took Lot? What's going on? He took Lot with him. V'Avram ben. This is how the pasuk goes. Right. Vayelech ito Lot. Vayelech. It says. Vayelech Avram kasher diber elav. Vayelech ito Lot. And Lot went with him. Va'Avram ben chamesh shanim v'shivim shana b'tzeto mecharon. And Avram was 75 years old when he left Charon, right? So the pasuk is kind of out of order, right? Avram went, way was told, and Lot went with him, And by the way, Avram was 75 years old. Say, Avram went with the Rebbeinu. He was 75 years old, and Lot went with him. Why the order of the pasuk this way? Lama nimnu poshnotav shel Avram. Why is Avram's age mentioned here? V'lama hifsik hakatuv ben halichat Avraham umispar shnotav lahachyat Lot. Why does he put in between Avram's going and Lot's going with the age, the old age of Avram Avinu? Ayin. Badrushva Ayin, say, look at another sefer that I wrote. Sham Biarna, I explain like this. Shalotan, Lot said to himself, look, Shu Mamin Beloke Avraham. I believe in the God of Avraham. V'rotzel Azorlo, the Grab Hashem Hashem. I want to go along and call out to God. I want to have a relationship with God. V'im Avram Lokech Imo, et hanefesh asher asu b'charon. I want to help Avram, right? Ben Achiv Lo K'moshe Katuv. Avram had to take him. He took him, right? But let's see the real reason that Lot went. Avram went because God spoke to him. He didn't have any other intention. There was no other agenda that Avram had in going with him, right? No ulterior motive. Rak la'asot ritzon kono. He only wanted to do the will of God. Vayelech ito Lot, and Lot went with him. Now listen, yadua she'ito misamein dveikut chitzoni. There's different ito and imo in Hebrew Lashon Kodesh. Ito is external. I'm going to be with him externally. Ito, right? Misamein dveikut chitzonit, a kind of external relationship, attachment. B'deyot shonot. But I could be different, right? Imo, if he would go imo with him, devekut pnimiyit b'dat achat. I'm one with him. If I go imo with somebody, I'm going imu with you. That's one. I'm one is comes from im. We're together. But et is external. I have my own agenda, but I'll go with you, right? So he said he went ito. Ritzono lomar halach. Halach b'dveikut chitzonit. He had another agenda. He had another reason why he went. V'lo machshavot Avram machshavot Lot. The thoughts of Avram were not the thoughts of Lot. The goals of Avram were the Ma hayta kavanato amitit shel Lot. What was Lot really after? Shehishtadel levat, to go with Avram. Avram ben Chamesh Shanim V'Shivim Shana B'Tzeito Mecharon. He was already 75 when he left Haran. Umi Peti Yazov et Dodo Morisho Azakena Yashur. Why would be a fool to leave my old uncle, getting older, and he's going to inherit. I'm going to inherit him. Avram was a very wealthy person. Aholech le'eretz lo yadua v'chushoim. I'm going to go with him to this strange land. What am I going for, right? Ulechein huskara po ha'alicha shel Lot. Right now, it mentions going of Lot. She'ikar mekomo lahal. Really, it doesn't belong here. It belongs in another parak. V'acharesh notav shel Avram. It's only Avram went, and then Lot went, and Avram was 75 years old. Shazu hayta kavanat Lot. That amiti. That was the opposite of menschlichkeit, right? He was looking out for himself to become rich, to inherit Avram Avinu. That's the structure of the pasuk. Okay. Thank you all. We're going to end here. Thank you. Appreciate being with you. Have a nice evening.
Thank you.